The way this started for me was I started messing around with drugs when I was 15, but when I got about 22, started having children, got married, I quit everything for a long time, for like 4 or 5 years, and then we moved next door to these people that had a lot of prescription drugs and things, and we started hanging out with them, and I became addicted to Adderall, methadone, Xanax, and then in February of 2015, I did my first line of methamphetamine and crystal meth, and it spiraled out of control from there. In November of 2015, it was actually a year ago last night, I did my first IV shot of crystal meth, and I mean, it was within a month I had lost my children. I was getting a divorce. I couldn't stop. It didn't matter what anybody said or did anything. I was living on the street. In February of 2016, my grandmother called Reed, and she called Bradford, this other rehab in Alabama. And I chose Bradford because it was shorter, and it was 12-step, and I thought I could get in and get out. I was there for 16 days. I lasted all of 3 weeks and relapsed. In the first week that I relapsed, I overdosed twice. I was in the emergency room twice. And DHR got involved after that, and they said that I could not be in contact with my children until I went to another rehab and completed it. And it took me about 4 months of going back and forth with Reed. But finally I gave in, and on August 26th, I checked in, and it was the best decision I've ever made. Well, I was addicted to methadone, Xanax, and Adderall, which Adderall is amphetamine. And I had 3 kids under the age of 3, and I was just trying to keep up and stay awake, and I quickly found that I could do that with Adderall, and it became my drug of choice. But then it was hard to find, it was expensive, and crystal meth was everywhere, and it was cheaper, and people loved giving it to you. And I quickly switched over from Adderall to meth, and I couldn't pass a drug test for my, I had gotten on Suboxone to get off methadone. Couldn't pass a drug test. They kicked me out, so I had to cold turkey Suboxone. But to me it was worth it. The drug just kept pulling me in, and once I tried it IV, I mean, it didn't matter what I was injecting, I was addicted to the needle. And it became my life. That's all I did. If I went to sleep, you know, when I woke up, that was what I was doing, was finding that drug and finding that fix, and then do it all over again the next day. It was exhausting. I was a prisoner to myself, and I don't have to live like that anymore. While I was living on the street, homeless, just going from place to place, I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I even slept under a bridge one night. My kids were with my soon-to-be ex-husband. We're still getting a divorce. And they went back and forth from him to my grandparents, to his parents, to his sister in Mississippi. I mean, he had to work, you know, and somebody had to take care of the kids, and I wasn't there. And I have to live with that forever, but I'm glad I did something about it now. They're still young, and we went trick-or-treating the other night, and we had a good time. DHR told me that I couldn't have any contact with my kids. I couldn't even come on the property, or they would be put in a foster home. And even with that hanging over my head, I still waited 4 or 5 months and putting it off and putting it off. And then I didn't want to go because it was going to be 2 months longer that I wouldn't see them. But when you hit rock bottom like I did, I mean, I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anyone to call. My family had quit calling me. My kids were going to be put in a foster home eventually if I didn't do something. So we called Reed, and I told him I was ready to come. And the next day, I was here. And well, when I went to rehab the first time, we just Googled rehabs, and I really liked this place. I thought it looked great, but it was 8 weeks, and the other one was 28 days, which I only ended up staying 16 days. It was 12-step, and it just prolonged my recovery going to the other rehab. 8 weeks is totally worth it. In fact, I stayed 9.5 weeks. I stayed longer than I had to. I'd come back if they'd let me. I mean, I really love it, and I'm so glad I came. I pulled up, and it was probably 10 o'clock at night, and everyone was sitting outside, and they looked so happy, and they were laughing, and I got out of the car, and I was so intimidated, I got right back in the car. And I couldn't imagine myself being like they were, happy, sober, sitting there talking like everything was okay, because for me, everything was not okay. And Reed came out to the car and walked me in. He introduced me to everyone, showed me my room. And when I walked in my room, there was a picture, 2 pictures, one of my son and one of my twin girls. And I just knew it was where I needed to be. And it wasn't 2 days before I felt right at home. I had friends, I made lifelong friendships, and I learned so much, and I'll never go back. It was really easy to make friends here because I guess we're all in the same boat, really. You know, we all gave up hope. We felt lost. We felt worthless, and we understood each other. And it's easy to make friends when you know where somebody's been. You can relate to them, and everybody was so nice. The people that worked here, the counselors, Reed, Barnett, Debbie, everyone. It just felt right at home. I was actually in detox for 5 days, and I only came out to eat, and I would go outside and talk a little bit. But I think I came in on a Thursday, and by Monday I was in classes. And everyone shows you where to go. Everyone explains everything to you. You're never lost. You're never not knowing what to do. The food is amazing. The chefs are amazing. I mean, it's like a vacation. It's wonderful. You have people that are taking care of you, that care about you, that love you, and they want to see you succeed.
In the pool?
Yes. And they have a really, really nice pool up here. We went fishing. We went on outings, went swimming, played volleyball in the pool, at the beach. It was great. It was really great. I think for me, it clicked probably in the first week that I was in class. I didn't resist. I just didn't think they had anything for me that I hadn't already heard. And it was pretty fast learning that this was not a 12-step program, that they were not going to put you down and tell you failed and that you were always going to be an addict and this is a disease. It was exactly the opposite, and it was a new way of thinking, and it works. I don't know what it is, but it clicks and it works, and I'm really thankful for it. When I first came to realize that I had everything I needed to get well and to recover, it was really overwhelming, and it was almost like I couldn't believe that it was so simple and just common sense that that's all you had to do, and that I could have done it a long time ago. But I didn't dwell on that for too long, because the fact was that I had it available. I was in this amazing place, and I could change my future. I could start fresh, and I wouldn't always be labeled as an addict. That I'm a person, and I'm worth something. And my kids need me, and that's where I am now. Reed recommended a book that I really enjoyed. It was As a Man Thinketh, and I cannot remember the author, but it was a really great book. And another one was The Enlightened Gardener by, I think it was Sid Banks. But I really enjoyed that one, and we got 2 copies, one for my grandparents and one for me. But I have several more that they gave me that I will keep reading. The books here just kind of helped make everything that we learned in class come together. It filled in the blanks, and it just gives you so much insight and enlightenment and a new way of thinking, and it's a fresh way, and it feels right. The pills I was taking it was a horrible combination, but I felt like I had confidence and energy, and that I could be a do-it-all mom. I could do everything anyone asked me. I've always been a people pleaser. I hate saying no to people. I always want to help other people, and I really think that trying to do for everyone else and not myself is what got me here in the first place. I was exhausted, and I lost myself trying to take care of other people. And now I put myself first, and I haven't done that in a long time, if ever. One thing I learned here is how to say no to people. I have a really hard time saying no, and now I think about, can I do this? Am I available to do this? And am I going to be exhausted, or am I doing too much? Am I taking care of myself? I think about, would it cause harm to me? And I simply tell people no, instead of telling them what they want to hear, because that just leads to chaos and stress, and it's just unnecessary. It doesn't have to be that way. When I was here, my grandparents and my kids would come every Sunday, and they would meet us at church, and then we would come back here for 30 minutes every Sunday. So it was great. I got to see my kids every Sunday the entire time I was here. And then at about 4 weeks, I got to go to my son's birthday party. You have an 8-hour visit, and that was great. It was really great. I thought I wasn't going to be able to see my kids. I thought I wasn't going to be able to see anyone, but I saw them once a week, and that really helped. My grandparents, the first Sunday that they came, had already seen a difference. They said they had not seen me smile and laugh and just be calm. They said I was always a nervous wreck, and for once I was just in the moment, and I was happy. When I graduated, I was really nervous. I was so scared to go back out there to the real world. You feel like you're in this safe bubble here, and then you're set free, and it's great though. It's great. I don't think about drugs. I don't think about the people I was hanging out with. I live in the moment. I don't worry about the past. I don't get anxious about the future. I'm able to enjoy my kids. We play outside. I take my son to school. I do help him with his homework. I get to sit down with them at dinner time and read to them at bedtime. I wouldn't give it up for the world. It's great. Before, when I was taking so many pills just to get through the day, where I felt like it was helping me be a better mom and helping me take on the world and just be superwoman, I really wasn't there in the moment. I don't remember a lot of times where I was with my kids. I was thinking that I was doing all these things and spending so much time with them, but I wasn't really there. I was out of my mind. I was tired, exhausted, and I wouldn't take time to just sit down and play or color or do a puzzle. And now I'm there in the moment 100%, and I enjoy every second I'm with them. And I take time out of my day and put the dishes aside and just sit down and play. And it's awesome, it really is. When people ask me if I'm able to have fun or just to live being sober, and they think it's boring, I thought the same thing. I thought it was going to be so boring. I didn't understand how people did it. But now I don't understand how people don't do it. I've laughed at Gulf Breeze and at home to where I am crying on the floor, rolling, laughing. And I haven't done that since I was a kid. And I don't have to get up and worry if I'm going to be sick or how I'm going to get my fix or drive around all over where I live just to find something to blow my money on that's going to last 10 minutes, you know. I don't have to do that anymore. I actually enjoy life. I can look at trees and the sky and the water and appreciate it, where before I would drive by and not even notice it. I changed my number while I was in here so that the people I was hanging out with could not contact me. But I did log into my Facebook, and they still send messages, and they still ask, you know, if I'm staying sober or if I want to go hang out. And I just ignore it. I block them, or I just tell them that's not the way I'm living anymore, and tell them that I hope that they too can, you know, find recovery. They're still doing the same things. A lot of them are in jail. A lot of them are still on the streets struggling and looking for that fix. And I just don't want to be a part of it. And they'll always be out there, but I don't have to be with them. I guess staying busy, I'm going back to school. I'm getting a part-time job. And then I have 3 small children, so I stay pretty busy. But I can't let myself get bored. I have to stay focused, stay doing something, and I don't even think about going back out there to do drugs or to be on the streets. And when my kids look at me and smile and just say, "I love you, Mommy, I'm so glad you're here," there's no question that I would never go back. I am still getting a divorce. We were going to work it out. But I think it's time to move on. He still drinks, and he's on Suboxone, and I think we would just be better off, you know, being parents. But it's I don't think we should be married right now. We've tried, and we have a good relationship, and I guess going through the divorce, I found out we were going to get a divorce a year ago, and then we got back together, and then we started fighting a lot, and I relapsed when I got out of the first rehab. And then when I came here, we decided to get back together, and then right in the middle of it, he decided he didn't want to. And I'm so glad I was here when it happened, because if I would have been out there, I probably would have done what I always did and just got high to make it go away, so I didn't have to think about it. And it was about 4 weeks in when that happened. But now that I'm out there, it's still hard. I still have to go through it. I still have to face it. We still argue, but I don't run and get high. I just accept that I'm going through something, but it won't be like this forever, and that I don't have to get high. I can I can deal with it as it comes and get through it. And that's what I'm doing. I was that person that I did not want to go to rehab. I knew I needed it, but I did not want to go. The drug had so much control over me. I put it off and put it off. And the whole time my kids were needing their mom. My grandparents wanted their granddaughter back. I was letting everything fall apart. And it was so hard to just give in and come. But to anyone out there who's considering it or knows that they need help, I would just say to do it. It's come to Guthrie's Recovery. It changed my life. It saved my life. And I have my kids back. And nobody can ever take that from me again. I won't give it up again. And it was the best decision I ever made. I guess when I have bad thoughts now, I can dismiss them without getting anxious or overwhelmed. And the fact that I can do that brings a good feeling even on a bad day. I can just remember that I have control of my thoughts and my actions, and no one else can take that from me. It makes me feel good even on the worst day. I tell people this and they think I'm crazy, but I'm thankful for what I went through. And I really wouldn't change a thing. And I know it's crazy and I went through a lot and I wasn't with my kids, but I learned so much and I'll have that forever, you know?
Yes.
And I wish I didn't hurt so many people, but I mean, it really ended up making me a better person than I was before I went down that road.